You guys can see the time now. That's great. This is yeah. I'm gonna probably gonna make a video. Maybe tomorrow. About my great winning streak that I had yesterday. But today I'm not gonna play any of that. I'm just gonna play normal. So let's just play my setup. This is not what I should be playing. I usually play H4 uh ideas, but this also looks completely reasonable. So let my knight be reasonable. Because I have a choice now. I can either play e4 to play that setup, or I cannot. Let's think about this. What is the best? Yeah, let's just play a position. e5, I can take it. Maybe not the best ideas, but I really just want to play a position and just play based on feel and not really, theory. After e5, though, I think taking is not even that good. Yeah, that's a good move. I can go here. Doesn't seem like a bad option. But then maybe we can just play c5. Because the problem is if I take, he just takes with a pawn, and then I always have rook c1. But the problem with d5 is that he can take and maybe play e6 or even go e6 immediately. I never want to take a pawn like that, so that doesn't really work either. I think bishop e3 is very logical. But I think fianchettoing makes the most sense, because bishop e3, maybe there's knight g4, but maybe I can just move the bishop away with an f4. So I guess bishop e3, knight g4, I just move my bishop here, meeting e5 with d5 maybe. And then I can always play e3 next, right? That at least, it doesn't look like the worst thing in the world. But, yeah. The problem with bishop e3 is that I don't put my bishop on b2. So, yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But he plays b6, which is a more passive move. Now, I think d5 makes a lot of sense, but I should play rook c1. This was the main point of playing bishop e3, to play this one. Now this move makes a lot of sense, because he really shouldn't take. Yeah, he can go here, but then I can take this. I get kind of just a standard position. I do have a feeling it's not a good move, though. I have a feeling it's not a good move, because I'm opening the bishop and I'm giving him some squares, but it doesn't look like the worst thing in the world. This is really the only pawn break in the position, so obviously that's what I should aim for. Bishop on e3 is doing nothing. And I think f4 is really sort of the move I have to be playing for. So, yeah, b4 doesn't really do much. I think f4 and e5 is what I have to play for, so I think I can move my knight away. If I go here, knight g4, bishop f4, e5 is a slight problem. Pawn takes. Pawn takes. Maybe knight e1 is better, because my knight e1 can transfer to d3 if knight g4. Knight g4 actually just queen takes g4. That was really high level. Okay, let's play f4 without much thought. I can move my knight back, obviously, at any moment. I can also move my knight here. It also looks very, very reasonable. I don't know why I went here, as there's nothing really to attack. Yeah, that's what I expected, obviously. Now, I don't really want to take, because he's going to take with the knight. And then he has pressure on this pawn. He's a reasonable position. Knight f3, knight g4 is obviously was an idea, but maybe I can just give away the bishop. Also, knight d3 is possible. This is the most natural move in my opinion, for sure. And if he takes, I think I'll take with a pawn to go for e5. Yeah, just going all in for e5. Now he goes here. Now I can take, because knight takes, I have knight takes, rook takes, and then bishop f4. That actually doesn't look too bad. Like, the bishop is pretty strong. Like, yeah, I mean, he can move his rook back, and maybe there's nothing there, but maybe there is nothing there. But then knight b5. Let's take. Let's not spend that much time. If he takes with a pawn, then I'm cooking. Like that, I don't really know what to do there, but my knight on d3 is pretty good, and his pieces are doing nothing. So he takes. Let's take. Again, if pawn takes, I feel like I must have an advantage. Bishop f4 is the move that I calculated. Now knight b5 here, actually, I thought was winning a pawn, but it doesn't win a pawn. It doesn't win anything, because he can just move the queen away. So I guess then I could take this pawn, so here he has queen b8, so still not super. I have queen a4, a6 doesn't really do anything. We got knight b5, queen b8. Yeah. Somehow there's just no way to put pressure. E5 is possible. Pawn takes. There's not really a follow-up though. Yeah, but knight b5 I really should play as quickly as possible. Let's see. Yep. Now let's think about this. So I think the plan now maybe is to sort of attack on the f file. This is also a threat, by the way. Just defend. Bishop is doing nothing. I don't think that's a good move. I can just move my bishop back. Where? I don't know. Maybe here. Just move my bishop away. Maybe as like h6 and bishop d4. But his bishop on b7 is very bad. That's kind of what I'm playing against here. Problem is, my bishop on g2 is nothing. But I do have the f file, so I can always play like queen f3. So we're tickle at his position. He just goes right back. Now queen f3 I think just wins on the spot. I'm just going to defend against queen f3. Also, I can just take this and win a piece. Very, very nice. Right? Should win a piece. Yeah, I mean, very nice. I think my problem is that in this position here, what's the problem? But d5 is actually not a bad move. Interesting. Knight e1 is best. f4, wow. Okay, yeah, here I was a little bit unsure what to do. Apparently I'm completely winning. Not taking, this cannot be a good move. f5 I was thinking, wow, it's interesting because I thought of f5 so briefly. It was so brief that I didn't even talk about it. Apparently this is completely winning. We'll look at this later on. Because why not? I mean, so basically, just to do a sort of summarization of the game, I play the setup against pretty much everything. Now, if he plays g6 here, I have the... Actually, I'll click on the analysis so that there's no colors. There we go. So my actual move here is to move h4. And there's not really any good setup for black to equalize. The engine is saying c6 is best, but white will get an advantage there either. And the move c5, I have developed a new move, d takes c5, which has pretty much never been played before. And the very natural move queen to a5 check is actually a mistake, because knight to c3, queen takes pawn, and you can go h5 or even just e4, and you just get an accelerated dragon with the Maroczy bind. Like, this is already very strong. And if they play knight a6, you can go h5, sacrifice a pawn, followed by g4. Now knight g7, knight e6, and knight takes c5 is the best idea, but knight f6 is very human. Here, and reach this ridiculous position, which I have studied quite extensively on my channel. or really in the past. But he plays d6, and I play the setup, right? I usually play, this opening. But okay, d6, knight f3, g6, g3, bishop g7, bishop g2, and he plays c6, which is one of the moves. Obviously, the idea is just to, maybe you want to play d5, even though you're losing a tempo, but you're kind of being very flexible. Castles, knight c3, knight b7, e4, queen c7. It's just a very solid position for black. Only problem is it's difficult for him to do anything. I played bishop e3. I was a little bit annoyed here, because bishop e3 kind of allows knight g4. But then I was thinking, I'm just going to move bishop back. Even bishop g5 is possible there. Obviously, knight g4 bishop before he plays e5 with tempo. I didn't want to allow that. But knight g4 I thought was a little bit annoying, but I thought, okay, I'm just going to move my bishop back. So here knight g4 was thinking, I'm just going to play bishop d2. He's going to play e5, I'm just going to take. No, I was not going to take, I was going to play here. I was like, okay, I'm going to play this position. But he played b6, which I thought was a little bit odd, because I just played rook c1, I just keep making progress. Now, sort of extracting his queen, he goes here, and I play d5. And I thought this was the right time, because he's going to go e5. Next move. And, he's the one who's going to do things. So I play d5, and the idea is very, very simple. I have two ideas, knight b5 and knight d5. If he takes, I can play even knight b5 immediately, actually. Followed by whatever takes here, and I have a really strong knight. Obviously, he can always kick me away, but I have a pretty reasonable position. I have the bishop targeting the pawn there, the bishop here, and this knight on f6 and the bishop on g7 are really not doing much. So he plays c5, kind of closing down the position instead, and now playing knight e1 with a very direct idea. The engine thinks knight e2 was better, but I think knight e1 is also very reasonable. The idea is very simple. f4, e5. Just, that's the idea. Now, maybe knight e2 was better, because maybe then I can reroute to c4 or to e4. I'm just kind of defending. But when this pawn gets removed, maybe knight e4 is possible. I don't know. But I play knight e1. I thought that was maybe pretty good, because I can play knight e3 at some point. He plays the rook in the center, and I just play f4. And I correctly assumed that I was better here. He goes here, which is actually completely losing, because I can go f5. And the problem for black is that it's difficult for him to do anything. He's extremely cramped. So, for example, if he does nothing, then I can play g4, and h4, and h5, or something. You get the point. Yeah, just like g5, knight h5, I can just take, and just, yeah, so for example, imagine if he does nothing again, then I can play g5, knight h5, probably just bishop f3, knight f4, and then f6, and then rook c2 apparently, and I just kind of just play, slowly destroy him with this idea to just cramp him up. And that's why you play f4, in order to kind of block everything here. This queen now is completely out of defense. And g4, d5 is pretty much unstoppable. Why I play d3, allowing him to take. I thought I could just take with the pawn and still be better, but apparently this position is not, apparently this position is not that much better for me, though I think still I'm better. By the way, why is queen f3 not a good move? Queen f3 is a good move. Although there's maybe some weird countermeasures. But he went here, and now again, f5 and g5 and bishop g5 and h4, h5 and everything like that. But I take. And go here. And I thought that I had to be better here. Actually, here the engine recommends queen e7 as the best move. With the idea maybe to beat this with bishop takes d5, not even bishop, and takes d4. Also very strong. But he went here, and I went here. And although I'm actually worse. He just goes here, I move my bishop away. And here he loses a piece of one move. He should have taken on b2, and after rook c2, played bishop e5. And my opponent has a lot of square control. This is exactly what I don't allow. But why am I better here, though? I should play bishop g5, because he's restricting his position. Now he apparently has to play knight to d7 and give away the exchange. Wow. Oh, wait. His knight is just trapped. So, yeah. Also, apparently, queen f3. now stopping knight d7 because I have knight b5, queen b8, and knight takes d6 or whatever. So he has to play h6, and then I play knight b5, queen b8, or maybe queen e7, and then rook c e1. So basically this is the weakness and I defend it. Black plays bishop a6 trying to give away this bishop, knight takes d6, rook d6, and then e5. And apparently this is like, this is ridiculous. Queen takes e1, apparently, rook e1, king f2 here, and now queen c3 defending. Like, obviously, all these moves make sense, but like, you have to calculate all this stuff, and this is a mess. Bishop f8, and then bishop f1, kicking away the rook h2, and g4! What? And then the only drawing move, by the way, is rook h1, which is weird. Oh wait, the rook's attacked, I guess. And now queen d3. Threatening what? What am I threatening? What? I'm threatening nothing, probably. b5 apparently is the best move. c takes b5. And bishop c8. What? What if you play bishop c8 immediately? Then there is bishop g3. And just king g2, and you win the exchange. But why? Why can't you just go here immediately? Because rook h4. So you go queen d3, apparently, and now b5 and bishop c8. And now bishop g3 doesn't work. Oh, bishop g3 works. What? Oh, bishop 3 is the only winning move. But there's this c4, queen takes c4, and bishop b7. But king g2? There's rook. No, this move. Yeah. That's. I mean, there's a reason why engines are so much better than humans such as. I mean, these ideas are very weird to find. But okay, I win a piece, and the game was over very quickly. But I think the main sort of thing to learn from this is that this idea to play f5 is very strong, especially when my opponent's position is very cramped. And in a position like this, bishop f4, I should play bishop e5 winning material, but the general idea is I have to defend this pawn. Yeah, knight b5, queen e7, apparently not queen b8, because of knight takes d6, apparently an e5. So there's like these ideas that are flowing around the air to sacrifice and play e5. But the point is that I have to play on the f file. I have to play here in the center, knight b5. You know, I have the file here, have this bishop g5, have the knight here, have the knight here. But maybe put the rook on the better square defending the pawn. But I just misplayed this. I played the right ideas, but then I played queen d3, which is very passive. Queen of 3 is probably better, though. Obviously, this is still winner's pawn, but you get the point. Yeah, but I didn't lose the piece. So, yeah, that was the game.